The KRGS Doors Show, proudly brought to you by KRGS Doors. For all your shopfront roller shutters, roller grills, folding closures and bifold doors, visit www.krgsdoors.com.au. Welcome to the KRGS Doors Podcast. I'm your host, Drew Blackman. The aim of our podcast is to talk to cool people with cool stories, whether it be our suppliers, customers, staff, other business owners, or people from different walks of life, and get to know them a bit better. If you're interested in coming on, drop us a line or email, or connect with us via Facebook, and we can have a chat to see what we can do. On today's podcast, we are joined by KRGS Doors Managing Director Clayton Blackman and Mark and Michael Saller from Saller Motorsports. Former Australian Go Kart Champion Mick is the pilot of the 900 horsepower KRGS MSP Shopfitting sprint car, while Mark is the crew chief and owner of the team. Along with sprint cars, they are both small business owners, with Mark owning MSP Shopfitting and being in the industry for 30 years, and Mick, having an accounting background, owns Mega Cash Pawn Shop out at Penrith. Welcome to the podcast, Mick and Mark Saller from Saller Motorsports. Thank you guys for joining us. How are you travelling today?
Going good.
Going good. That's good to hear.
Complain.
Can't complain. You're surviving and staying safe during these unusual times.
100% boredom.
Can't shake hands or cuddle or anything like that. So what's the Mick and Mark story? We're married, kids. What's the scenario there?
Well, I've obviously married and got a kid.
At least one we know of.
I've got two, yeah.
Excellent. Mick?
I'm recently engaged, so
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. So married life approaching a year away, and yeah, definitely.
Have you got a date set now, mate?
Yeah, 1st of May.
1st of May.
1st of May next year. So hopefully all this will be done, and we can have more than 100 people at the any wedding now. So yeah, that's all that planning's underway.
That time will come around real quick, mate.
Yeah,
Real
so
quick. It's only 12 months away, but yeah.
yeah, I think we've got a big racing season before then.
So I was going to say it's obviously set out outside of off-season with racing and so forth.
Yeah, right on the verge, end of the season. So yeah, that was planned well. Yeah, and definitely no kids at the moment. Too many bills, racing and whatnot.
How much input have you got into the wedding plans?
I think I don't have as much as what she'd like at the moment. Yeah, I sort of said I'll just tell you if I don't like it, the rest is okay. And she, yeah,
Just make it up on the run, mate.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I'll try and be supportive of it.
I'll just be there on the day type of thing.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there.
Tell me what I got to wear and tell me what time I got to be there.
Yes.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
I've taught him well.
100%.
Have you organised, Mark, have you organised the Bucks party, or who's organising the Bucks? Eh?
Mick is.
Is there time for that somewhere after race season, mate?
I think we're going to Bali or something.
Yeah.
Bali,
I
wow.
think I'm going to have two, hopefully.
Two.
Yeah,
It's
gonna
that big,
have
you need two.
Yeah, so have
That's an event.
a Bali weekend, and then yeah, something in Sydney, hopefully as well.
Wow.
Is the plan.
Good stuff.
Fantastic. So, as we know, you're the pilot of the sprint car, the KRGS MSP Motorsports sprint car, and Mick's the crew chief there and part owner, I believe. Mark's the crew chief and Mick's the driver. How did you start in sprint cars?
We did some dirt speedway karts and always went to the speedway and sort of obviously loved any form of motorsport. And when you're at that age, roughly sort of 15, 16, you're at a crossroads because obviously every kid has a dream that they want to race Formula 1, and a lot of people pursue Formula Ford, State Series, National Series, V8 Supercar Development Series, and try and get to supercars or something like that.
Climb the ladder.
And you sort of go, well, Formula Ford at that stage, probably 6-7 years ago, was more than 100k just to do
get
6 odd rounds in a State Series, and before you went up and along the chain to even get to Development Series, saying that you're guaranteed to win everything, you still were up for more than $1 million just to get there. And we were sort of you go speedway, you can still do it as a family, and at the end of the day, you at least own the stuff, and you're not putting a mortgage on your house to fit the bill for wiping 4 corners off a car.
Yeah, and
on the
there's not
weekend.
too many $1 million sponsors out there either, mate.
Yeah, that's it. We've lucky that you can still do it as a family, and we've had obviously good supporters along the way and make it more enjoyable. I think in that TAR circuit racing world, it's pretty shut off, and I think a lot of people that even if they get themselves into the drives, it's not something that you have a relationship with your dad or family in there, then they're
Yeah.
hardly allowed even in there
Yeah.
on weekends. So yeah, still pretty
You
happy
don't
with
get
what
that
we've
working relationship side by side.
done. Yeah, 100%.
How old were you when you first put your bum in a sprint car?
I think I would have been 18.
18.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I remember.
Pretty daunting.
I think it was international series. We rolled out on like the 12th of January or something. 6 years ago. I think Steve Kinzer was out, and there was a fair few Americans. And I remember in the 10-lap heat, I think he just slapped me on my final lap. And it was just nuts, just the sheer acceleration and whatnot. You just couldn't believe and just think, how do they do it in this?
And you're obviously not getting any practice because you can't go out and do any practice sessions like go-karting or anything like that. You just the time in the saddle is when you're racing.
Yeah, 100%. You just did an engine start up the straight at the place where we bought the car off. So you don't even get any guidance in that. You just get pushed off for the first time, flick the switch, and you got 900 horsepower at your foot.
Yeah. You must have shit yourself.
Yeah, and it's loud as hell, and there's no other way to describe it. And then you essentially get pushed out for wheel packing for the first time, and you're just so nervous just to go pack a track in because you've never done it before.
Yeah.
You've never steered the car at any speed, and then roughly half an hour later they let you out to do 2 qualifying laps, which even scarier, but at least you're sort of on the track by yourself. And an hour later you're in a heat race, lining up at the back with the world's best ahead of you, knowing that in a couple of laps I'll probably come back around to lap you. It's pretty daunting.
So as an 18-year-old, you would have been still on your P's as a driver on the street.
Street driver?
Yeah,
and you're
correct.
out here 950 horsepower screaming around on dirt.
Can't drive a V8 on the street car as a street car, but you can on the track.
Yeah, 100%. So it's pretty cool. I think that's probably half the reason why I wasn't much of a hooligan in my P-plated days.
Because you had an opportunity.
Yeah, used to get out and rip on weekends. So didn't really have to bag them up on weekdays and be able to keep my license.
And Mark, what about your motorsport background? So you used to drive go-karts?
Yes, yeah, on the tar.
On the tar?
Yeah, I raced probably for 5 or 6 years, just club day shows, just a bit of
As
fun.
a young bloke?
Nah, as older. I think Mick was born.
Okay.
I probably started 2 years before he was born, raced, then gave it up when the kids were born, and then got back into it. And that's how
Mick got into
started. Yeah, so I was racing when Mick was 7. So I'd race club and heavies back then, and he was racing midgets on the same day up at Lithgow.
How long ago when you finished up racing?
16 years ago.
And you wish you had an opportunity to get back into it at some stage?
No, not really. You know what? I probably got more of a buzz over the years watching Michael
Mick
progress.
Yeah.
So, and even now, even people say to me, "Oh, have you had to go in a sprint car?" And I still haven't
No.
to date. And you know, I'll have a go, but I'm not overly fussed. I'd never race one. I would never ever race one.
No, me either, mate.
But
My balls aren't big enough to race one, I don't think.
100% I'm the same. Yeah. But mate, I just get a buzz out of it. I really, really get a buzz out of him racing. So, and I think with this COVID-19, what's happening now, and me not being able to race, I think I've really felt that.
Yeah.
So I think the day Mick turns around and says, "I don't want to race no more," I'm going to think, well, what am I going to do?
What am I going to do with myself?
Because it's been really, like, when you think Mick's 24, 25, he's been racing since he was 7 years old.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of time that we were, weekends away, travelling interstate. We've raced overseas together, so we've done a hell of a lot together as a family.
Yeah,
so
no, and that's good. That's fantastic. Have that bond.
You say you used to race go-karts,
Yep.
and Mick, you were also an Australian Go Kart Champion.
Yeah.
Just on that, I remember one KRGS Christmas party that we had that was a go-kart event, and you two gentlemen come along, and I believe the reason you got invited from Clayton was because he didn't want me to win the day. I finished third behind 2 ex-champions. Clayton still dreads when I mention this story. That
Yeah, I think I got dudded on the go-kart. I think I got stitched up. I had a shitbox of a thing driving, and I got dudded on the last lap.
I don't think the weight it was carrying helped either.
Wait for age.
That's exactly right. You wanted a handicap.
Yeah, it was a rort.
So
they won't be invited back either, by the way.
Well, that's fine. That means I'll win. So I'm happy with that. So on that, Mick, you were Australian Go Kart Champion. So you started at 7.
Yep.
At what age did you become champion?
It was 17, so it was probably such a long career because weight was a big thing in go-karts, and obviously it was so much fun, and I was a baby or a kid wrapped in wool and wouldn't fall over, and if I did, I probably wouldn't walk for a week. So the whole thing of fear and going fast took really long, and it was probably, I think I started at 6 or 7, and it wasn't until I was, I think, 13 till I won my first race, which is a long time. And I think a lot of other probably kids would have stopped racing then, and it actually never fazed me through so much. I just liked the whole thing of being at the track.
Yeah. Kept you coming back.
Yeah, mates and stuff like that. And I think it's that same thing. Once you get a taste of a win or whatnot, it builds. And through my junior karting career, we went through an era that I raced alongside Anton, James Golding, Todd Hazelwood, Joey Mawson, who's in Europe and whatnot, racing Porsche Super Cup. So they were all our juniors, and it was junior national heavy at the time, which was obviously so competitive because all those names have gone that circuit path, and it was really there that we started to step it up. One sort of got close to the top and won a state title against Anton that year, and then suddenly you make the change. I think it was roughly 15 or 16, you move to seniors and you start all over again because you go into a whole different
category.
You go into elite karting, people that probably could have taken the path and have the ability to, but haven't, and they're just stayed in karting for 20 odd years.
Yeah. How were those, Scott? How did you go against like Anton and James Goulding and those sort of guys?
We were always
in
up.
karts.
We were always up there. So Anton, through this year and a half phase, absolutely dominated the junior national heavy. So I think out of the 7 state titles and the national title, he won the national title, won 6 state titles.
Shit.
And we won the other one off him. So funny enough, he actually, it rained at Newcastle, and he sent it into the last corner, actually hit me off the track, and he won across the line, and they reversed the decision.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so at that stage, there was actually like a pretty big rivalry between me and Anton because he obviously felt hard done by. To get a clean 8 from 8 sweep.
Yeah, that was his goal.
Is just pure domination, which he was. And we were pretty obviously lucky in that sense. It sort of sparked something. And I remember going into the final state title of the year after that was in South Australia. And we were in the running. We actually dropped the chain. But I remember that one actually was, you had Anton, who was obviously national champion. You had Todd Hazelwood, who was the reigning South Australian state champion, and myself. And I remember going into turn 1 and it was us 3 off 1, 2, 3 for the final, Hazelwood off 2, and I actually sent him on the start, turned him round, and then I was out as well. So Anton went on to win that one, so that was pretty big.
Do you have much contact with Anton or Todd Hazelwood or those blokes now? Or?
Not Anton, Todd Hazelwood I do, like just through small talk on Instagram and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a pretty cool era.
Yeah.
They're all obviously so talented. I think Anton's got a massive
He's
future
got a massive
in
future,
supercars.
mate, yeah.
I think Todd Hazelwood was the same in karts, like just sheer grit determinations got him to where he is, which is really cool to see. I think even if he doesn't make it as a champion one day, I think in what he's done just to get there will obviously live on for a long time as well.
He's got Penske written all over him.
Yeah, definitely.
For those that don't know, Anton is Anton Di Pasquale, who is a V8 supercar driver with Penrite at the moment.
Erebus Motorsports.
And this is for both of you guys. What's the biggest challenge you face in sprint cars, one as a driver and then also one as the team owner, team manager?
I'll let you take that first.
Cash.
That's probably the biggest one. Look, it's probably such a frustrating motorsport where, you know, we can't go and test like we did in go-karts or even V8 supercars and all that. And you have a track that is constantly changing.
Yeah.
So for me being a team owner, and I'm probably not so much a crew chief. I don't really, to be honest, I don't really understand it. I could in a go-kart.
Yeah.
And it's probably, I don't even want to understand it because it's so complicated. And I think what makes
Because you haven't been a driver, mate?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's, you know, with a V8 supercar or even a go-kart, you've got X amount of things that you can change on that kart. And yes, the track does change to a certain degree, you know, weather conditions, the track gets hotter, the rubber gets laid down, so that does change. But from my understandings in a sprint car, and I suppose where I get, and call it frustrated, and it's not so much being frustrated at Mick or anything, you know, I believe we've got best gear or as good as the top teams have.
Absolutely.
But you can go out on a track and we can roll out a car one night and Mick can go on quick time against 50-odd cars.
Yeah.
And then the next night you roll back out and we qualify 32nd.
Yeah.
And you go, well, hang on a sec, what's different?
What's different from last night to tonight?
And I think that's what makes the top teams elite, where they've got
Consistency.
They've got their crew guys that can read the track, can understand the track, and make those changes accordingly. And I think with sprint cars, like everyone said, it's a 5-7 year apprenticeship, and we're getting to that stage now. But that's probably the most frustrating. And when you look at sprint cars, you don't get, if we talk V8 supercars, Van Gisberg or McLaughlin's going to win week in, week out, unless something goes wrong. You go to a sprint car race, and even, an elite sprint car race here, like an Aussie title and that, there's 20 guys that can win that race, and it's not, you could be the quickest guy and quick time and all that and win all your heats, but all it takes is you miss the setup in the final and you can go from 1st to 10th.
Well, you've seen it on many events, mate. Guys, not necessarily the guy starting in P1's going to win it.
That's right.
You see guys coming through the field, and they take the title.
And Mick, as a driver,
consistency is the hardest thing I find to be consistent week in, week out, and that's a thing that we're slowly getting better on. Season just gone we probably lack consistency. We finished the season before probably quite consistent. I think we ran sort of top 6 at Sydney, and then went away on Easter Trail, and we're running sort of top 5, top 3, got a podium, things like that. So, and it's hard because you beat yourself up against the wall because you think like we're close, but you're still so far away. Yeah. And I think this season was a whole thing of piecing it together. And the hardest part is your nights separated into qualifying, which is 2 laps, you're flat to the boards. It just requires ultimate commitment. You can't make a mistake, and you're talking a 12-second lap time. So the smallest mistake puts you a couple tenths off, and that's obviously the difference that you could qualify 5th to sort of 20th. And that sets up your whole night. You qualify good, you're at the front of your heat, and it just changes things. And surprisingly, this season we actually qualified decent, which is in other seasons we hadn't done right. And then you get to your heat race, which is usually 10 laps. The track's at a switch. It's about to change. So we went through then a year that we'd be off the front. Either I'd make a mistake in the start of the heat over driving it, jump the ledge or the cushion off the track and lose 4 spot. And then we'd find ourselves not getting straight transfers into the A and just really stupid stuff, I suppose, and inconsistent stuff. And then there's other nights where that track just flicks a switch and we just haven't been prepared and adapted to it quick enough, and then you're miles off the setup, and before you know it, we're either coming from the B main, getting a last chance qualifier, or you're starting 16th and then we're driving up to 8th and 7th, but it's just so hard starting a main event from deep, and that was sort of a whole year. And then the odd nights that we'd get it right in the heat race, you'd come off the front, we'd make the dash and start 5th or 6th in the A, we wouldn't complete the rest of the night. So we just piecing a whole night together. They're 3 sort of different strategies, and the good guys just don't get it wrong in the 3.
You mentioned when you first started, you were racing against the Americans and that type of thing, and just recently you guys were fortunate enough to have one of the top Yanks come out, Aaron Reutzal. What did you learn from him?
I think the biggest thing that I probably learnt's his commitment and just how much he doesn't care, and I think that's a big thing, how he gets his respect, how committed he is, how hard he just drives it all the time. And I think that's what it takes to be at that level. There's obviously a fine line for us because I know we don't have an endless budget, and obviously I want to look after my stuff. We know I have good stuff, and not saying that any Yanks don't, but they just drive at a level where you're that committed that if things go wrong, they usually do cost a lot of money. So that's probably the biggest thing, just how hard and how aggressive they are is the biggest thing that I learned. Did
you learn anything, Mark, as looking after the team? Did you learn anything off Aaron?
I did, yeah. And I suppose it's like Michael said, his discipline and just the little things that he does compared to what we were doing here. Like, we learnt so much. He's very, very technical on certain aspects.
Yeah, obviously, you don't want to give away secrets, but...
No, that's... Yeah. But, just things like that. Just really, really learnt a lot from him. But I think a lot of it was, just the mental preparation and how, you watched him when he hopped in those cars, like the eyes just lit up, and it was all about racing. And not so much it was all about racing, it was all about winning.
Yeah.
It was sort of to a certain degree, and I don't say this with any disrespect, but it was win at all cost. And, he's not there to make friends.
No.
He's there to win, because back
It's
in
not
America,
about show friends, it's about show business.
well,
isn't it?
it's not like us. We race here for fun, and yes, we want to be competitive, but he races there for a living.
That's his livelihood,
So, if he doesn't win, or in saying that too, if he crashes every night, he's not making money either, so he's not putting food on the table. So, but yeah, it was very, very impressive to watch him, and we've become good friends now. And
Obviously, as us being one of Mick's sponsors, and obviously Aaron's sponsors as well, which was fantastic being a part of when he was out here. The thing I noticed was having that opportunity. He's got that race suit on, mate. He's just focused.
Yes, 100%.
As soon as he's got that race suit on, it's just
It's
and you can tell after the race too. As soon as he's a bit more relaxed once that's over.
Yeah.
But mate, he's just focused, isn't he?
I think a big thing that he once said to me, we had a call go wrong over Christmas, or one of those 50-50 calls where he got put back on a start. And the same thing, it's a heat race, put back on a start. You win the heat, you start off the front of the A main, he finishes third, you start from 10th. That's the difference between running for a podium or just getting to a podium in a feature. And he said to me after, people say, why, I have the shits and whatnot, and people tell me not to take it personally. And I tell them, this is my livelihood, this is my job.
Yeah.
If you feel ripped off at your job and suddenly only get paid half the amount tonight, you're going to take it personally.
Yeah.
So how can I not take it personally?
And that's a little bit different probably to the guys. He's doing it full time over there. That's his job. Where over here, obviously, you've got a 9-to-5 job away from racing.
Yeah.
Okay, we all like to win. But you're right. That's his prize money.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the podcast. We have a word from our sponsor. KRGS Doors Security Mobile Trellis Barrier allows you to have a versatile trackless barrier at any length. Standing 2 meters in height and having no floor or head tracks eliminates any trip hazards or the need for bulkheads. Simply wheel the security mobile trellis barrier away when not needed. Perfectly suited when you need to prevent access to a certain section of the property, such as food courts or when parts of the shopping centre are closed. If you'd like more information, visit www.krgsdoors.com.au or call 1800 897 822. Now back to the podcast.
What are the team's plans going forward?
Obviously, from my point of view, just continue to grow and work on that consistency, because I really feel like we can do it. In everything we've done, and that's probably what makes it the hardest part, we've gotten to the top. Definitely hasn't been the quickest road, so we're definitely used to the grind. But yeah, I suppose we still want to incorporate that level of fun in it, and we don't want that to change. But we're competitive-natured people, and you naturally want to win, and we've had one taste of it, and when you get that, it's like a drug. You just want to keep doing it more and more and more. But I think on the same note of that is sometimes you just got to slow down and still just trust the process in a sense. And if you go chasing things too hard, you can sort of get ahead of yourself. And it is the sort of sport that you can try too hard. Yeah. So they're sort of big things.
It's the same in business, mate. It's the same in business.
100%.
Is that the same for you, Mark, as a team?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I suppose if we turned around today and said, that's it, we're packing up, we can't race no more, I look at it and think, Mick winning his Australian title and did it on Father's Day for me, well, that's never ever going to be replaced as far as a Father's Day present.
Correct.
And I'll cherish that until my grave. Winning an A main at Archerfield 2 years ago, there's a lot of drivers that have raced for 8-10 years and have never won an A main. So, I think we've ticked that box off.
Yeah.
And then bringing out an American's probably the biggest highlight. I brought out an American and he was so competitive and we had a win. Up in Queensland again. So for me as a car owner, I think I've ticked a lot of boxes. Yeah. I don't want to stop there. I want to see Mick win. I want to see him win at Parramatta. We want to bring Aaron back out and I want to see him dominate here and take him to the Classic. And so for me, I still want to tick some more boxes, 100%.
How long do you see being in the sport, Mick?
Well, there's an easy answer to that. But the minute when I'm still just rocking up and driving, it's always easier. Look, it's hard because...
Because obviously at the track you see a difference in ages, like from guys like from Robbie Farr right down to young blokes younger than yourself. Yeah. So there's obviously a time there that just depends on how big the wallet is, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty hard because we've spoken about it before, and you can take a step back and we've got the gear there. It's a sport where you can race every couple of weekends, but on the same token, we're competitive, and you want to have fun, but you always have more fun when you win or you get a good result. So I still feel like if in 4 years' time I've gone, my life's developed a bit more, my personal life could be a bit different, or there could be family talks on the cards. So in a different position, I'll just race every couple of weeks for fun. I don't know how you do that because we're so competitive. You've got so much money invested. So I still sort of feel like on that note, we are sort of all or nothing in a sense. So it's probably it's a hard
the setup you got and the trucks and so forth that you got, that's not for doing it for fun every couple of weeks.
Yeah, so it's really, really hard. Like, I still am so passionate about it and still love it. And I sort of always thought, even though it wasn't like a massive race to win, it was just a East Coast Logistics Track Championship round. You had the top guys in Queensland there, but obviously not on a national level. It wasn't Sydney. I still always thought if I win a race, that could do me. And it has, but obviously you still always want more. It is a massive, ego sort of driven sport. Everyone just wants to keep doing better and those sort of things. So that part of me obviously wants to keep doing it and get to a level like we were at in go-karts, I suppose. Yeah.
The sport's obviously been brought in the headlines of recently, in the last sort of 6 months, 12 months type of thing, with obviously Parramatta Valvoline Raceway being the government's sold it off type thing for another infrastructure.
Yeah.
So obviously 2020-2021, the season is the last one at Parramatta.
Yep.
And there's talk of a new track at Eastern Creek. Have you had much feedback or much apart from what's been said on the news or in the media about what's happening with the new track or when it's kicking off?
Not really. I think Speedway is one of those sports that the wives' tales are endless. So and you don't know what to believe at times. So I suppose now with obviously the current pandemic, you can throw another spanner in the works. So you don't really know. I suppose it gives us more drive just to get our stuff right and have a really good year at Parramatta because it could be the last year. As far as a new track, if it does come about, obviously there's history for Parramatta, but there's history everywhere. Yeah. It still won't be forgotten about and whatnot, whether the track's still around. And before my time, there was obviously so many other speedways around Sydney as well. So I think the new track, as a sports perspective, it's the best thing that can happen with the new facility and all those things, and at Eastern Creek with all the other motorsport venues.
All under the one roof.
Great.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. It'd obviously be a nice goal, mate, to win the last one there. Yeah,
definitely. I reckon next season will be real tough there because there's obviously so many people will just come because it could be the last year. But I think we just got to stick to our game plan, and you just break down the night and just tick off the box for qualifying, and then just know you just got to get through 10 laps in the heat and work on it that way. And I think we can do it. You just obviously, myself just got to get a bit more self-belief, and that's a hard thing. It's like any sport. Someone goes through that real good patch and they just keep playing better or driving better. So it's just those things that we need to work on.
As you mentioned, family is a big key, and not only in racing, but I've seen you guys as a family as well. And your sister comes down and your daughter comes down and watches and is involved, and your fiancé is involved, wiping the dirt off and cleaning the tyres and everything like that. And Mum's there as well, but she cannot watch. She cannot watch, can she?
No, she can't watch. Obviously, it is a quite dangerous sport, and there have been sort of bad accidents that have happened, and there is a risk always there. So I think that's obviously a hard part for Mum or obviously a lot of parents to face. One part of it, having the family there, is obviously really, really good, but it is sort of hard because when you do it as a family, you ride the highs together, but then the lows sort of carry on through the whole family on a Sunday and a Monday, and it's the same. You have a good result on a Saturday, it sort of gets you through Sunday, washing the car the next day, and the maintenance, it's not a grind because
it's a bit of a spring step.
You're living off that and you keep going, but you tear up on Saturday, then Sunday stripping, then you got to pay for it and all those things, and you're repairing it. It's later nights in the shed. Have it all back together
by Wednesday night, Thursday night.
It's time away from the family, so it just carries and they're the highs and lows of it, but the highs is why you come back next week. It's
it brings you back, mate.
It's like that good shot on the 18th hole.
Yep. Golf. How do you cope, Mark, if he has a pring?
When he physically has the pring?
Yes.
Or? Look, I worry. I'm one of these dads. I watch him, and it's funny enough, if anyone looks at me, my fingers are always crossed while he's out there. It's just something I always do. Yeah, I am scared. I am scared to a certain degree, but there's times when
you do well and not showing it.
Yeah, I do, and I'll probably do that more for Mon. Not showing her that I'm scared.
Yeah.
And look, 9 times out of 10, every time I've seen him have an accident, I can make a fair judgment call whether how bad it is or not. I don't spare anything in his safety, so he's got the best of the best, and it is what it is. We enjoy it, we love it, we know the consequences, but hopefully everything goes well. But I do worry for him, 100%. A lot of those dices get close, and especially when you're doing open wheeler, there's a lot more chance of hitting wheels and rolling over and things like that.
You know what you're doing, but you don't know what the bloke beside you is doing. That's the hardest bit, I guess.
So, but in saying that, even if he's out in front in the lead, you still worry. If something goes wrong or he hits the cushion wrong, I've seen many guys, flip all by themselves. So you don't have to have someone else out there. But it's something that we've done, and I think as a parent, you're always going to worry for your child, regardless what they're doing. So,
do you find yourself? There's 24 cars on the track in the A main. Do you find yourself you're just watching one car? You're not really looking at any other car?
Yeah, I'd only watch. Because how many times Mick comes in and goes, oh, what were the leaders doing? What were they doing?
I haven't got a clue.
I don't know, buddy. I'm just watching you, And I think over that Christmas period, having two cars out there in the A, it was like, who do I want to watch? And I'm like, Aaron's leading. Do I watch him or do I watch Mick?
Keep an eye on him.
So...
There was one race there over Christmas, and it was good because you were just on Aaron's tail the whole way through. So he was coming through the pack, and you just clipped on. It was like he had a tow bar on the back of it, and you were just on his tail.
That was an easy one to watch too.
That was so good. Exactly right. That's what I was saying. Because they were just right behind each other, and you just followed him through. It was so good to watch because they were just,
Yeah, I think that night we came from, I think we started 21st and 22nd. And I think halfway through we got to, I think
6 and 7 or something. Yeah.
And then I got tagged around on a restart. So that was obviously unfortunate because I felt really good and I thought, this would be good if you can
just follow him through, mate.
Keep following.
I thought that night we were going to have two on the podium that night.
Yeah.
So it's the way it goes, though.
That's it. Just going back, we spoke about Aaron Reutzal before. Just tell us the story of how you're in Australia, he's in America. You've never spoken to each other. How did that deal come about with bringing him over to Australia to come and race?
We always wanted to bring someone over, but it's pretty hard. Like, who do you get in? You've got your household names in American World of Outlaws that you can't really bring over.
So you've done a bit of homework?
Yeah. And I seen him before, and I knew he was sort of just an absolute gasser and was on the edge and had a few breakthrough wins and the coming off a year that he sort of dominated. And he'd won the one championship. So when we spoke to him, he was in the process, or he went on to win his second in a row. And he just won a World of Outlaws race, and he's contracted to a different series, which they typically say, in World of Outlaws, they say it's easier to make the A-Main, 24, but it's way harder to win one. And an All-Stars Championship, it's actually harder for, say, an Aussie to make the 24, but it's a lot easier to win one. Yeah, he won the World of Outlaws race in California, and we just messaged him online. And I think from then, they would get it a lot. A big thing is you travel halfway around the world, and he said that to us. You don't want to fly, or it was nearly a 36-hour duration by the time it stops and everything, and come out and they don't have any spares, or you don't know what budget it is.
Yeah.
It's not hard to make a car look good with some stickers, or they just go, here's 7 tyres, that's lasting you for the next 5 races, that's all you got. So I think that was a big thing that he did. He took a while.
So there was a bit of conversation to him back and from.
Yeah, there was heaps of back and forth in relation to that. And then it was all sort of locked in. So we sort of had the next 3 months of just watching him, knowing that he was coming over, and it was quite cool. He was started on the pole for the Knoxville Nationals last year, won some big races as well. So it was really cool.
I think a lot of Speedway fans and people were obviously excited to hear with him coming over.
Yeah,
it was
someone new.
Yeah, someone new. It was a promotion for the sport, and it was fantastic to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think he's the sort of person that we were saying before how focused he is. He's not the crowd pleaser in a sense. He doesn't really care to the extent how many fans like him or dislike him. But I can guarantee one thing: even if you don't like him, there'll be a time that you just have to bow your head and go, he just ripped then. And I think the race at Toowoomba that he won the World Series was an example of that. And it's a sort of those drivers, and there's a lot of them. I think both Madsen brothers are similar. They've got as many fans absolutely love him, and a diehard fans, they probably have equal amount that can't stand him.
Yeah.
But then those ones that can't stand at the same time, they obviously respect the drives that they do.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, those sort of drivers are the ones that put on the shows and the races you talk about for a year.
Just in the short period of time that I got to see him over the Christmas, some of the things I seen him do with that car, and
Yeah.
point and shoot in that car. Just, unbelievable.
Now, away from sprint cars, you're both small business owners. Mark with MSP Shopfitting, and Mick, you've got Mega Cash out at Penrith. How do you balance life between running a business and leisure?
Well, I suppose with my industry, work probably always comes first. So you got to take what's there. When we got work on, we'll just pump it out as much as we can. I suppose I always try and work to go racing on the weekend. That's probably my biggest thing in life. So I'll work to accommodate my racing to a certain degree, but that's 100% is probably where my focus is.
How long have you been in the shop fitting industry?
We're probably talking 30 years now.
Okay, so you started when you were about 5 or 6?
Oh, no. Thanks, mate.
And Mick, with Mega Cash, are you in a similar aim to weekends free as such?
I think for me, it is obviously weekends free for racing, but my sort of focus on it is it's the one thing as a family that I can sort of pay back for the racing and get us in a position that enables us to go racing and have something and create something that's obviously of a high worth as well. So that's obviously my strong passion in that. So similar sort of thing, you work to be able to race in a sense, but sort of build something that I can sort of give back to mum and dad as well.
How long have you been with Mega Cash? Because I know you obviously before you had your own store.
I think it was roughly 4 years before.
Learnt the trade.
Learnt the trade. I think my business knowledge through like my uni degree and just having obviously parents that are quite business minded and whatnot, the practical approach is really different to the theory.
Yeah.
And I think being able to see that with dad and whatnot and combining the two really helped us get in the position that we are today with the shop and make it grow so quickly in 3 years.
Yeah.
Just on that work front, it's quite often I've seen on your Instagram or your Facebook that you've driven in Queensland on the Saturday night and then you're on the first flight back on the Sunday morning because you've got to go open the shop up.
Yeah, we've done a couple of them. Recently, I was actually doing a accounting stint at Deloitte, one of the big 4 accounting firms, and we raced, it was actually last May, we raced a Queensland title at Toowoomba. We finished at midnight, drove back to Gold Coast, got there at 2 a.m. I slept for an hour and a half, got dressed in my suit, went to Gold Coast Airport at 6 a.m, flew back to Sydney and caught a train straight back to Parramatta office, and I was there. So
with your eyes hanging out of your head.
Yeah. I think I was already like 7 coffees deep.
But I think that dedication to the sport and to work, the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree because I've seen Mark working in Melbourne on a Saturday of race day.
Yeah.
And work and then fly back from Melbourne to Sydney to be there at Parramatta.
Yeah.
Or drive the truck. I don't know how he does it. Fly from Melbourne to Sydney and then jump in the truck and then drive back to Melbourne that night to go racing on the Saturday night and then do the same again on drive it back on Sunday and then fly back down to Melbourne. So the dedication there, mate, I can't believe that on certain times.
With the shop fitting, and this is probably a personal question, what's MSP stand for?
It doesn't really have a meaning. Well, I turn around and tell people now it's money, sex and power.
Right. and that sums you up pretty much.
Yeah, probably.
Lack of all.
Either way.
There's a silent L in there.
No, it doesn't really have a meaning. So,
No, okay.
No.
I thought it might have been the Mark Saller, MS. I thought that's how it come about, mate. No? MSP.
No, there isn't.
Fair enough.
Well, it could be now Mick Saller pawn shops.
There you go.
That's what Mega Cash is, a pawn shop. So it's might see that in the future.
There you go.
And this could be the start, the podcast, and next comes the TV series and things like
Yeah,
that. So
yeah. That's just a stepping stone.
That's right.
Would it be more interesting doing it on a pawn shop than a shop fitting company, let me tell you.
Well, the block and that type of thing's pretty popular, so it could possibly be the shop or something like that.
The shop?
The shop.
There you
That's
go.
something new.
There you go. So, folks, you heard it here first. You heard it here first, so
Two
it's
new
copyrighted.
shows.
That if you
Foxtel, if you're listening, you're more than welcome to.
if you take it, though, you'll have to pay us a royalty.
Exactly right. 2 new shows for you.
Now, to finish up the podcast, we ask our fast 5 questions, which is just a rapid fire question to get to know you a little bit better. The first one is, what would be your last meal?
Chicken palmy.
Spag bowl.
Spag bowl, nice.
Geez, they're pretty easy, aren't they? Easy
straightforward.
going.
Yes. Drink of choice.
CC on tap.
CC on tap.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's
Mother's milk.
pretty easy.
Yeah.
So a spag bowl and a chicken palmy and CC on
CC,
tap, and you
they're
win them
easy.
over.
Yeah.
This next one, Mick, you can probably answer for Mark, and Mark, you can answer for Mick. What is one of your weird quirks?
I don't think Dad has any.
Hasn't got any weird quirks?
Oh, he snores like a train.
That's not a quirk.
Could snore for Australia.
That's a skill.
What about mixed quirks?
I don't know. I don't even think he's... No.
No?
Pretty plain Jane.
Yeah,
not
but
telling it.
Well, just maybe one of your quirk is that you cross your fingers when he races.
Could be.
Could be. And just on that, I'll throw another question in. When you drive, are you superstitious at all?
Yeah, so maybe that would be it. Undies, lucky undies.
Lucky
Yeah.
undies?
Yeah.
So there's
The
a bit of-
checkered flag ones or what, mate?
Nah, just black ones. But
Yeah.
there's a bit of a supply chain when we finish and got a 2-night race, so Mum's got to get them washed for the next night.
Rinse them out.
Okay. Yeah.
Rinse them
Yeah.
out.
Well, go-karting used to be yellow undies. Remember?
Yeah.
we've sort of changed. And then I think you go in the same thing, so you give up on it and you go, oh, this is pointless. And then I started just going random, and then I won the Australian title in karting, and you go, no, these are the ones.
These are the work.
I remember I started sprint cars, I just ran normal, just thought I'll start something new, just mixing it up every week, and I've gone, nah, that's it, I'm going to pull out.
So if you're going away for the Easter trail or something, man, it's 3 nights. You've really... The washing's really got to be under the pump there because you're going back to back to back.
Yeah.
If I drove sprint cars, I reckon I'd have Penrith undies.
I reckon I'd...
They'd be brown and white.
Absolutely.
What's your favourite movie quote?
It'd have to, there's a couple other like funny ones, but on a racing sense, if you're not first, you're last.
Yes, that makes sense.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Have you got one, Clayton?
Show me the money.
Show me. Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire.
Yeah. I got one. It's from The Magnificent Seven. And I've actually got it tattooed on me.
There you go.
And I don't seek revenge. I seek righteousness. So that's mine. Now, and finally, if heaven does exist, what would God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I reckon you'd be honoured.
Be honoured. You think you're you're privileged to go that way?
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Yeah, I'd say the same. Yeah.
Yeah?
He'd welcome me with open arms.
Open arms. Finally, one of the good guys have arrived.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that wraps up our podcast and our chat. We do appreciate you coming in, and we're extremely proud as a company and also as a family to see where you guys have grown from coming into sprint cars and now to what you have. So we're extremely honoured to be involved and part of that and see you guys grow in that sense.
No, thanks for it. It's obviously the sport often needs a lot more sort of diehard fans that put their company out there and support sort of small teams like us. And I think the coolest part is obviously you're not just a corporate partner, you get a friendship, and I think it's 6 years now, and it's really, really cool to see not only a small sticker become such a big one and the partnership that's grown, but the friendship and the events that we do together, and there's obviously been a lot of laughs along the way, so it's really good.
I remember Mick's first year, so 6 years ago, I got this presentation as a sponsor. And I spoke to Mark about it because Mark and I we knew each other through business and so forth. And I'd been to see Mick down at Wollongong a couple of times at Albion Park, I think, with the go-karts and so forth.
Yep.
Anyway, I got this prospectus as a sponsor, and I could not believe how professional it was and the time and the effort that had gone into this for our company to be a part of it. And that's it really sold me then. I didn't know Mick or had a lot to do with Mick, but just the way that had come across my desk and the professionalism on that, mate, it just really opened my eyes up to want to be a part of it. And it's been fantastic ever since.
Yes, and as you said, 6 years later, it is a big thrill going out there. It's probably one of the rarest or forms of racing that it's just foot to the floor and we're going on dirt. And it's great to see get in the pits and smell the petrol and you guys really allow us, and not only us, our family comes along and we're all in there and it's open arms to say, yep, come in, you're more than welcome. I think there's only one time that Mark brushed me. I asked him a question about Mick's car and his head was in the engine and his head was elsewhere and he said, not now. And I'm, sweet. That was the only time. But other than that, it's, hey, come in, this is your home as well. So, guys, we do appreciate your time today. I'm not too sure when the next season's going to start with the virus, but good luck in the future.
No, thank you.
Well
and
done,
thanks
boys.
for having us on.
Thanks
Thank
for your
you.
support,
Cheers.
guys.
Thanks, guys. That wraps up our chat with Mick and Mark Saller from Saller Motorsports, MSP Shopfitting and Mega Cash Penrith. If you want to find out more about Saller Motorsports, you can search Mick Saller on Facebook. If you have missed any previous episodes of the KRGS Doors podcast, you can download them from our website, www.krgsdoors.com.au/podcast, or on your favourite podcast player, search KRGS Doors. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to ensure you don't miss any future episodes. This also boosts our ranking and my ego. The other thing I suggest, if you have enjoyed the podcast, head to your favourite podcast player and leave a review or a rating. On our next episode, we speak to co-director of Burt's Soft Drinks, Darren Shelley. Starting in 1968, Burt's Soft Drinks has been family-owned for the entire 52 years and is now managed by Darren and his cousin Matthew, the fifth generation of the Shelley's family. I've been your host, Drew Blackman, and you've been fantastic for tuning in today. As always, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. Thanks. Till next time. The KRGS Doors Show, proudly brought to you by KRGS Doors. For all your shopfront roller shutters, roller grills, folding closures and bifold doors, visit www.krgsdoors.com.au. The KRGS Doors Show, proudly brought to you by KRGS Doors. For all your shopfront roller shutters, roller grills, folding closures and bifold doors, visit www.krgsdoors.com.au.